I just spent $6,000 on Pokemon cards for vending inventory. Every deal in this video is real. I'll show you exactly what I bought, how much I paid, and the percentage of market of every deal. And at the end, we'll take a look at my new $10,000 inventory. Hey there, my name is Nathan and this is Woopa Collectibles. Now that I've sold my collection and I've got cash in hand, I'm looking to buy inventory. In my last video, I talked about wanting to grow my inventory to around $5,000 to $6,000 before my first card show. And I exceeded that by quite a bit. I was really surprised by how many good deals I was able to find through online Facebook groups and marketplace. Maybe it's just the current market where people are still looking to sell, but I was really surprised with the amount of deals I was able to find with people willing to take 70 to 75%. So I recorded several vlogs of these deals over the last week. I'll play one, then come back here to give you the exact details and the numbers. So let's get into the first deal.
Today's a pretty big day. Last night I secured about 3 different deals on Facebook Marketplace. Really good stuff. I'm actually headed right now. We're picking up a complete 151 master set as well as some other singles on top. All in all, average paid, I'd say it's around 72% for both the entire master set as well as the singles. With the master set, I valued it mainly on, say, the top 30 cards in the set, all the SIRs, full arts, and so on. Basically everything above $5, not really factoring in any of the commons and uncommons. If anything, it'll just be another thing for people to pick through at the table. I also managed to secure a deal for a Charizard SIR from 151 in a PSA 10. Now, that one is going for about $950 on eBay, and we're going to be picking it up today for $725 cash. So great deal all around. I've got another singles lot that's about a value of $700. Really good stuff. Alternate arts, Crown Zenith Galarian galleries, the higher value ones. And we're picking that up for $500 flat. So really, really good pickups today.
All right, y'all, we got our first collection pickup of the day. Let's take a look.
So we had this first stack of just singles. These are SARs, trainer galleries, illustration rares, some pretty lower end stuff overall, nothing too crazy. All in all, I think value here was a little over maybe $125. But here's the big boy right here. We've got a complete 151 master set, including all of the promos as well. So all of these commons and uncommons, I'm probably going to leave this section of the binder as is and leave it as something for people to go and pick through. If they are also looking to complete a 151 master set, full transparency, did not price any of these commons or uncommons into the deal. I was transparent about that fact with the buyer, or with the seller, pardon. So here we've got all the nice illustration rares, starter line, and on to the full arts. And last but not least, the big hitters. So I'm going to be taking all of these big hitters and probably putting them in my actual case instead of leaving them in the binder, since I have no intention to leave this as a master set. And then, like I said, leaving all the commons, uncommons in the binder for people to pick through.
So with the 151 master set and the stack of singles I picked up from our first deal, I paid a total of $947 for a total value of $1,354, coming in at exactly 70%. Not bad at all for our very first deal.
All right, y'all, we just finished up our second pickup of the day. We got some beauties here. We picked up the Charizard EX SIR from 151 in a PSA 10. And we originally came just for this, but when we got here, he said he might have some extra stuff for us to look at. And so we also ended up picking up the Gardevoir from Paldean Fates. This is a super sick pickup. I obviously have this in my personal collection, and it's not staying, it's staying there permanently. So picking up another one to sell is super sick, because obviously it's super awesome to be able to sell the stuff that you love as well.
So for the Gardevoir and Charizard, I paid a total of $950 for $1,235 in value. In total, paying about 77%, which I really don't mind given the fact that these are higher end, liquid, sought after cards. Bringing our total pickups to $2,589 in value, having paid $1,897 for an average of 73% of market paid.
All right, y'all, it's a new day. Our last pickup of yesterday, we picked up a Machamp alternate art Pikachu VMAX secret the Rainbow Chonkachu from Vivid Voltage, as well as some other Galarian Gallery, some higher end illustration cards. All in all, it was about $700 in value that we paid $500 for. When I met up with the guy, he straight up handed the cards to me raw, no top loaders, no sleeves, just pulled them out of his pocket. It was cringe as hell, and I was like, damn. But yeah, I took those home, got those sleeved up. They weren't beat up or anything, but yeah, please don't do that if you're selling cards. You can afford to hand over a penny sleeve. We are on our way to the Florence Card Show. Now, I talked about in my last video how I was originally planning on going to a card show as a buyer to try to pick up inventory for around 90% of market value. Now, I actually got some good advice from some of you guys online, people that have been starting out vending, that probably wasn't the move, and that, you know, some other people that had done that kind of regretted it, mainly because it took up a lot of their cash and it wasn't a great margin to begin with. So thankfully, I listened to some of that advice, and over the last 3 deals, over yesterday, got another big deal coming up later today, all Facebook Marketplace, all locally, and all those deals I've been able to pick up for about 70 to 75%. And all in all, total value, I think it's gonna be a little over $4,000 in all. So I actually already hit my number that I was aiming for in terms of expanding my inventory for my first card show. And again, picking that up at 70 to 75%, basically what I'd be able to get as a vendor. So absolutely huge, really happy with all the pickups. And so the card show that I'm going to today, again, I originally planned to try to pick some stuff up, but now in all honesty, I'm mainly going just to meet people, make some connections. I know some of the vendors in my local area, but honestly, just gonna be going, you know, introducing myself to every person at the table, figuring out the vendors in my local area, you know, getting their contact and social media, keeping up with them. You know, these are people that I'll potentially be seeing a lot at these card shows. I could potentially share a table with them in the future, you know, potentially work out some deals in the future, basically just building a relationship. I may still pick up some stuff. We'll see. It'll depend on if I can get a good deal on it. I'm going near the latter half of the card show. Gonna see if there are any vendors that would be open to the idea of me pretty much buying out the table, if not most of it, for preferably like 85%, maybe 90% of market value. But again, I've already picked up so much stuff, and I'm actually sitting pretty good in terms of inventory value, but I'm not necessarily looking to, you know, spend all of my cash all at once. So we'll see if any deals pop up, but like I said, mainly just going for the relationships. I did buy a small POV camera and a new DJI mic. Unfortunately, those aren't going to be in today. I really wanted to do kind of like a buyer POV, but one, like I said, my equipment isn't in, and two, I'm probably not going to end up buying that much. Mainly just going to meet people and introduce myself. So we'll catch up with you later.
3 hours later.
All right, card show is complete. I said coming up here, I was here to meet people first and spend money second. I actually ended up doing both. I spent about $2,000 in total. Couldn't help myself, man. Met so many great, awesome people in my local area. Made connections, got numbers and social media, you know, kind of introduced myself, got to meet a lot of people that are going to be upcoming at card shows, got great information on the list, like the local scene in my area, you know, Kentucky and about 1 state over, and, you know, had some deals that I couldn't really turn down, you know. First lot, it was about, I want to say like $1,200 in value. He was fine doing everything at 80%, just kind of like a vendor to vendor deal. Kind of too good of a deal to pass up. A lot of like the lower to mid end, you know, stuff between like $10 and $100 more or less. There was another vendor where it was a bit more high end stuff, a lot more mid era as well, slabs as well, stuff kind of in the $50 to $150, $200 range, even like up to $300. That deal we worked out at 87.5%, which was more than, you know, obviously I'd realistically like to pay, but I've been able to pick up so many good deals at around 70 to 75%. And a lot of the stuff I was picking up then was variety that I'm really looking for, as well as a bit of the more higher end stuff as well. So I can have kind of a mix of everything, all eras, all price ranges at my table. So huge show, had an absolute blast talking to everyone. And now time to go home, put everything in the spreadsheet, and start looking at what card show coming up I'm going to be vending at. So Catch you later.
So for our first vendor deal, I paid a total of $1,070 for $1,354 in value, right under that 80% mark, which was an awesome vendor-to-vendor deal. Super cool guy, really enjoyed chatting with him and working out a deal, and added a lot of lower to mid-end variety to my case, which I was looking for. So for our second vendor deal, I paid $1,407 for $1,608 in value, paying right around 87.5%. Again, not the greatest margin, but a lot of cool cards to bring variety and eyeballs to my table, and another great opportunity to make a relationship with a local vendor. After the card show, we had one more pickup of the day, and it was a big one. Singles heavy, but with some sealed and graded cards mixed in. Some of the highlights being the Red Victini from White Flare, as well as the Mega Gengar SAR from Mega Dream. All in all, we paid $1,500 for $2,000 in value, right around that 75% mark. So if you add everything up, the new additions to my inventory over the past week come in at a total market value of $7,551, while having only paid $5,874 for a total average market price paid of 77%. Add that to the singles and slabs from my personal collection that I've set aside for inventory, and I'm currently sitting on an inventory value of $10,164 for my very first card show coming up this Saturday in Richmond, Kentucky, where I'll be making my first vendor POV video as well. I definitely picked up more inventory than I was planning to, but I also found a lot more good deals than I was expecting. And I'm still very cash heavy to capitalize on buying opportunities at the show. Before we get into the full reveal of my inventory, I'd like to take a moment to ask you to subscribe. Almost 93% of my viewers aren't subscribed. And if you enjoyed this video or you're looking forward to my first vendor POV content, hit that subscribe button. We're almost halfway to our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Thank you. So this is where I'm currently at with my inventory setup. I've got 2 cases all fully stacked. We've got this first case here with our slabs up at the top, and then these are primarily the big hitters, the more expensive stuff that I've put in my first case here. I'm still trying to figure out kind of organization for everything, if I want to try to layer some of the slabs like I've done with these singles to try to create more space. I do have a couple more things that I wasn't really able to fit in the case, but not much. And then I've got a couple binders as well. So if we move on to our second case, this is still the higher end stuff that I wouldn't want to put in a binder, but not as high as the first case. So this case is just all singles. These are the remaining singles I wasn't quite able to fit in the case. Not sure what I'm going to do with these quite yet. Some of these are duplicates that I already have in the case, like the Charmander, Oricorio, the Pikachu, the Ivysaur, the Charizard. All of this stuff I'll probably just set aside, given that I already have one in the case, and then if one sells, I can just swap it. I've also got these 3 binders here. This first one over here is pretty much the dollar binder, bulk EXs, stuff of that regard, some playables as well. This will kind of be the binder where if kids want to come looking for some free cards, I'll let them have 2 free ones out of this binder. Just a bunch of generic stuff. Into this next binder, this is a bit more like low end, but still more value than just bulk EXs. We've got Galarian Gallery, some of the lower value special illustration rares, lots of trainer galleries. Almost all of these I pulled out of my own personal collection. Illustration rares, again, like good stuff, but not really like high enough to put in the case itself. I think this binder will be pretty popular to flick through. Then we've also got that 151 master set that I left as is. So I pulled out all the good stuff, left the commons, uncommons, and EXs. I think I'm gonna do something where like 2 commons or uncommons are $1 each. These individual EXs and full arts, I'm gonna price out accordingly. So lots of just bulk 151. If someone's looking to complete a master set, there'll be something else that they can flick through. And then near the back, still need to pull these bigger hitters out here. Got some of the gold switches and then full arts and everything. I'll price all of these individually. But that's pretty much all. I almost completely forgot, but as part of that $2,000 collection that we picked up, we had a good amount of sealed product as well. We got these prismatic poster collections, Mega Venusaur Premium Collection, the new one that came out. We got a Mega Lucario figure collection, the new Unova Heavy Hitters Premium Collection. We got a Team Rockets Moltres UPC, and then we've also got a Phantasmal Flames ETB. This one, in all honesty, like, it's a little scuffed. Probably going to price it down just a little bit. Probably not ideal for a sealed collection, but hey, if you're looking to rip, be a great deal.